God's chosen ones. God says, listen tonight, billions are coming. Have you ever felt that strange chill when God is trying to get your attention? Have you awakened at night with an unexplainable urgency in your spirit? Do you sense that something massive is about to break through in your life right now? Dear child of God, this is not a coincidence. Look around you. Notice where you are sitting. Notice the time. Notice this very moment. You didn't find this video. This video found you. Heaven itself paused the universe to make sure this message reached you tonight. The Almighty, who holds the stars in place, moved mountains in the spiritual realm, just so your eyes would meet these words. This is divine orchestration at its highest level. I need you to understand something profound. The reason your heart is beating faster right now, the reason you feel that stirring in your spirit, that's not emotion, that's recognition. Your soul knows when God is speaking directly to you. For 50 years, I've witnessed how God works, and I can tell you with absolute certainty, He doesn't waste divine appointments. When He singles someone out, it's because something extraordinary is about to unfold. Tonight, billions are coming, not just to anyone, to you. I know that might sound impossible. Maybe you're looking at your empty bank account. Maybe you're staring at unpaid bills. Maybe you've been praying for a breakthrough so long, your knees are calloused and your voice is hoarse. But Jeremiah 32:27 reminds us, I am the Lord, the God of all mankind. Is anything too hard for me? Before we go deeper into this revelation, I want to thank every single one of you who has supported this message through Super Thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating, you're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here, your support, your time, your attention. It all matters. Right now, I need you to do something powerful. Type 777 in the comments below. This isn't superstition. This is a prophetic declaration. In the Bible, 777 represents divine completion. It's heaven's perfect number. When you type those numbers, you're not just commenting, you're making a covenant. You're telling heaven, I recognize this moment. I am ready to receive. Let the heavens record your agreement. This message isn't for everyone, but if you're still watching, if something in your spirit is burning right now, then you are among God's chosen ones. And tonight, everything changes. Are you ready? Why do you feel so different from everyone else when you walk into a room? Why does your spirit ache with a purpose you can't fully explain? Have you ever wondered why your burdens seem heavier, your battles fiercer than those around you? It's because you are not ordinary. Let that truth sink deep into your bones. The uneasiness you felt your entire life, that sense of not quite fitting in, it wasn't rejection, it was selection. Look at your hands for a moment. Those aren't just ordinary hands. They're the same hands God designed before time began to carry something extraordinary in this generation. Your struggles weren't punishment, they were preparation. Isaiah 43:1 declares, Fear not, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You are mine. Do you understand what that means? The Creator of the universe knows your name, not just as part of a crowd, individually, specifically, you. For 50 years, I've watched how God elevates ordinary people to extraordinary purpose. And there's a pattern, a divine fingerprint that marks every chosen vessel. Think about Joseph. Before he ever stood in Pharaoh's palace, he was thrown into a pit by his own family. Before he interpreted dreams for kings, he was forgotten in prison. The world saw a slave. God saw a ruler. Is that your story too? Have you been overlooked, forgotten, pushed aside? While others were getting promoted, you were getting tested. While they were celebrating, you were sobbing on your knees, wondering if God had abandoned you. But here's the revelation that will change everything. You weren't buried, you were planted, and now it's harvest time. The Bible says in Psalm 75:6-7, "For promotion comes neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south. But God is the judge. He puts down one and exalts another." Your elevation was never going to come from human hands. That's why human rejection couldn't stop it. Your blessing isn't subject to someone else's approval. It's already decreed in heaven. Think about Esther, an orphan girl with nothing special to her name. Yet God positioned her for such a time as this. She walked into a palace carrying royal purpose, though she had no royal blood. That's who you are. While others were dancing through life, you were being forged in holy fire. Every tear, every disappointment, every closed door was shaping you to carry what ordinary people cannot hold. I need you to understand something profound right now. When God allows extraordinary pressure in your life, it's because He's creating something extraordinary through your life. Diamonds don't form in comfortable places. Have you ever felt crushed under the weight of your calling? Good. That weight is proof of your election. Look at David. Before he ever wore a crown, he faced a giant with nothing but a slingshot and bold faith. The entire army stood paralyzed with fear, while a shepherd boy ran toward his destiny. Everyone else saw impossible odds. David saw a God-ordained moment. That's you, right now, watching this message. While the world trembles in uncertainty, you're being called to rise with certainty. You've been chosen to carry something billions can't buy: divine weight. In 1 Peter 2-9, God declares, "But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession." Not "you might be" or "you could be," you are. The reason the enemy has fought you so hard is because he sees what you carry. Ordinary people don't attract extraordinary warfare. The level of your battle reveals the level of your calling. Right now, someone watching this is saying, "But you don't understand how much I've failed, how much I've struggled, how many times I've fallen short." Let me tell you something, beloved. Moses was a murderer before he was a deliverer. Peter denied Christ before he built the church. Your mistakes don't disqualify you. They prepare you to help others. Your brokenness will become your breakthrough. Right now, I need you to do something powerful. Place your hand over your heart and declare these words with authority. I am marked. I am chosen. I am ready. Say it again, louder this time, like you believe it with every fiber of your being. I am marked. I am chosen. I am ready. Feel that fire rising in your spirit? That's not emotion, that's recognition. Your spirit is bearing witness to what heaven has already decreed. The billions coming your way aren't just financial currency. They represent influence, wisdom, favor, opportunity, and supernatural abundance in every area of your life. But you must first accept your divine identity. Stop measuring yourself by human standards when you were created with divine purpose. Remember this. Before Joseph ruled Egypt, he had to embrace who he was in the pit. Before Esther saved a nation, she had to recognize her royal position. Before David slew Goliath, he had to believe he was more than a shepherd boy. And before you step into the billions God has for you, you must fully awaken to who you truly are. So I ask you, are you finally ready to stop apologizing for your calling? Are you ready to carry what God has entrusted only to you? Because the world is waiting, not just for blessings to come to you, but for blessings to flow through you. Chosen one, let me ask you something deeply personal. Why has your road been so difficult? Why, when others seem to glide through life with ease, have you walked through fire after fire? I see you. Those nights when you sat alone at your kitchen table, bills spread out before you, the weight of impossibility crushing your chest. I see those moments when you smiled in public, but collapsed in private, your pillow soaked with tears that no one else knew about. But heaven knew. Heaven collected every single one. Psalm 56:8 tells us, "You keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle. You have recorded each one in your book." Think about that for a moment. The God who created the universe, who holds billions of galaxies in his hand, has been keeping an intimate record of your pain. Not a single tear has been wasted. Not one moment of heartbreak overlooked. I need you to understand something profound tonight. Your struggle was never random. Your pain wasn't punishment. It was prophecy in disguise. Remember Joseph? His own brothers threw him into a pit, sold him into slavery. He was falsely accused, imprisoned, forgotten. For 13 long years, it seemed like God had abandoned him. But what looked like rejection was actually divine direction. What if I told you that every closed door in your life was actually protecting you from a path that wasn't yours to walk? What if every person who walked away was making room for who was meant to stay? Genesis 50:20 reveals the stunning truth through Joseph's words. "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives." Your story isn't over, beloved. It's barely begun. Some of you watching right now have endured betrayals so deep. They've carved canyons in your soul. You trusted someone with your heart, your dreams, your finances, and they shattered everything. That wound still bleeds when you touch it. Others have faced financial devastation, foreclosures, bankruptcies, medical bills that buried you alive. You've worked harder than anyone you know, yet watched others prosper with half the effort. And then there are those of you who faced health crises that stripped away everything. The doctors gave you news that turned your world upside down, and since that day, nothing has been the same. I want you to lean in close and hear me clearly. These weren't punishments. They were preparation. Do you know what happens to silver in a refiner's fire? The craftsman heats it to over 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit until all the impurities rise to the surface. Only then can they be removed. But here's the remarkable thing. The silversmith knows the silver is fully refined when he can see his own reflection in it. That's what's been happening to you. Malachi 3:3 promises, "He will sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. He will purify the Levites and refine them like gold and silver." God hasn't been trying to destroy you. He's been refining you until he can see his reflection in your life. Every rejection was a redirection. Every delay was divine design. Every setback was setting you up for what's coming next. Remember David? Before he was king, he was hiding in caves. Before the palace came the pasture. Before the crown came the crisis. What if your wilderness has simply been preparing you to handle the weight of the billions that are on their way to you right now? Isaiah 43:19 declares, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." Take a deep breath right now and feel this truth settle in your spirit. The reason your battle has been so fierce is because your blessing is so massive. The enemy doesn't waste ammunition on those who pose no threat. The fact that you've been under such attack is evidence that your destiny terrifies the darkness. I need you to see something with spiritual eyes tonight. Those moments when you were on your knees, crying out, "Why God? Why me?" Heaven wasn't ignoring you. Heaven was investing in you. Your brokenness wasn't the end of your story. It was the beginning of your breakthrough. Listen carefully now. The same God who watched you weep is now declaring, "Enough. Your season of suffering is complete. The training is over. It's time for your triumph." But here's my question to you. chosen one? Are you ready to leave the familiar pain behind? Are you prepared to step into the prosperity that's been prophesied over your life? Because everything, every tear, every trial, every moment of testing has been leading to this divine moment. And heaven is waiting for your response. I need you to lean in and listen with your spirit, not just your ears. There's a holy trembling in the atmosphere right now. Do you feel it? That shift in the spiritual climate. That's heaven moving furniture around to make room for your blessing. Seasons don't announce themselves with trumpets. They slip in through cracks in time when most people are too distracted to notice. But you're not most people, are you? For decades, I've watched God's timing unfold with clockwork precision, and I'm telling you with absolute certainty, tonight, the season changes for you. Let me speak plainly. The billions I'm talking about, they're not coming someday. They're not coming eventually. They're not coming when you finally feel worthy enough. They're coming tonight. But wait, you might say. I've heard promises before. I've waited and waited. I understand that doubt. When you've stood in the rain so long, it's hard to believe the sun is just behind the clouds. But Ecclesiastes 3:1 declares, "To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven." Your waiting season is officially over. Remember the Israelites? For 40 years, they wandered in circles, eating the same manna, wearing shoes that never wore out. Survival mode, getting by. Sound familiar? Then, in one day, everything changed. They crossed the Jordan, and suddenly, the promised land was under their feet. That's you, right now, standing at your Jordan River, with abundance on the other side. Look at your hands for a moment. Those weathered palms, those fingers that have worked so hard for so little. Those hands are about to hold more blessing than they can contain. Heaven's treasury is being unlocked over your name, right now. When God moves, He doesn't tiptoe. Isaiah 43:19 promises, "Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it?" This isn't a drizzle of blessing coming to dampen your drought. This is a divine flood, washing away decades of not enough and just getting by. I've seen how life has treated you. The social security checks that barely cover medications, the retirement that vanished in market crashes, the children who are too busy to visit, the doctor bills that keep you up at night. You've smiled through it all, haven't you? You've tithed from your little. You've served when your body ached. You've prayed for others while your own needs went unmet. Jesus saw this same faithfulness in the widow who gave her last 2 coins. "Truly I tell you," He said in Luke 21:3-4, "this poor widow has put in more than all the others, for they gave out of their abundance, but she, out of her poverty, put in all she had." Tonight, heaven is reversing that equation. You've been faithful with pennies. Now God is trusting you with millions. You've been faithful in the small apartment. Now He's giving you property. You've been faithful with your time. Now He's multiplying your impact. Do you remember Joseph? 13 years in prison, serving others, interpreting dreams, being forgotten by those he helped. Then, in a single day, he went from prisoner to prime minister, from chains to chariot, from nobody to second in command. That's not a Bible story. That's your prophecy. Your shift isn't coming in years. It's not coming in months. It's happening in this moment, as these words enter your spirit. The billions are in motion, like a freight train of blessing that nothing can stop. The doubters will say, "That's impossible. Where would that money come from? How would it happen overnight?" But Jeremiah 32:27 asks, "Behold, I am the Lord, the God of all flesh. Is anything too hard for me?" For those still questioning, let me ask you, how quickly did Jesus feed 5,000 with 5 loaves and 2 fish? How fast did water turn to wine at Cana? How suddenly did the Red Sea part? Our God doesn't operate on human timetables. He's not bound by economic theories or financial advisors. When he decides to prosper you, nothing can stand in his way. Look at your life right now. The struggles, the medications lined up on your bathroom counter, the heating bills you're worried about this winter, the grandchildren's college funds you wish you could contribute to. Now, take a deep breath, because by this time tomorrow, everything will be different. This transfer of wealth isn't just about dollars, it's about dignity, it's about destiny, it's about God finally bringing justice to your faithfulness. In Malachi 3:10, God challenges us, "Bring the full tithe into the storehouse, and thereby put me to the test, says the Lord of hosts. If I will not open the windows of heaven for you, and pour down for you a blessing until there is no more need." No more need. Let that sink in. No more choosing between medicine and meals. No more fear when the car makes that strange noise. No more saying, "I wish I could help," when your church announces a new building project. The billions are coming because God is faithful, even when people aren't. The billions are coming because your tears have been counted, your prayers have been heard, and your time has come. Tonight, everything changes. Are you ready for heaven's floodgates to break wide open over your life? Let me ask you something that might shake your soul to its core. Why has God allowed you to suffer so deeply, while others seem to glide through life untouched? Why have you endured financial droughts, when others never seem to worry about their next meal? Why do you feel this crushing weight, when your neighbor seems to dance through life? I'll tell you why, and it might surprise you. Your calling isn't small. That's why the crushing has been so deep. The diamond doesn't complain about the pressure, because it understands what it's becoming. The oak doesn't curse the storm, that forces its roots to grow deeper. And you, chosen one, were never meant to break under your trials. You were meant to be transformed by them. Look at Joseph in Genesis 37. His own brothers threw him into a pit, sold him like cattle. For years, he rotted in an Egyptian prison, forgotten by everyone except God. But what looked like destruction was actually divine positioning. In a single day, he went from prisoner to prime minister, controlling the finances of the most powerful nation on earth. Joseph didn't just survive the pit, he was being prepared in the pit. And your pit, your pain, your financial struggle is not your punishment, it's your preparation. In Psalm 105-19, Scripture reveals, "Until the time came to fulfill his dreams, the Lord tested Joseph's character." God isn't testing your patience, he's forging your character. Because billions require backbone. Consider Tyler Perry, who once lived in his car, homeless and hopeless. For 7 years, he put on plays that nobody came to see. 7 years of empty theaters, 7 years of mockery, 7 years of financial ruin. But today, he owns the largest film studio in America, bigger than Warner Brothers, bigger than Paramount, bigger than Disney. Why? Because the crushing wasn't meant to destroy him. It was meant to prepare him for a level of influence that would change the cultural landscape of our nation. Look at Sarah Blakely, who started Spanx with just $5,000 and a dream. Doors slammed in her face. Manufacturers laughed at her ideas. Family members questioned her sanity. Now she's worth billions and has pledged to give most of it away to lift up other women. Or Magic Johnson, who transformed from basketball legend to a business mogul worth over $600 million, employing thousands in America's most neglected neighborhoods. The same Magic Johnson who was once bankrupt and faced public humiliation. You see it now, don't you? The pattern is undeniable. Greatness isn't born in comfort. It's forged in fire. Oprah wasn't just handed a television empire. She endured poverty, abuse, and discrimination. Nelson Mandela didn't become a world-changing leader by taking the easy path. He spent 27 years in prison when it would have been easier to compromise his convictions. Viola Davis didn't become the first black woman to achieve the triple crown of acting by having an easy life. She once searched through garbage cans for food as a child. Now her voice shapes our culture and challenges our thinking. But this isn't just about them. This is about you. Romans 8:18 declares, "I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us." Your suffering has an expiration date, but your glory does not. Your poverty has a time limit, but your provision will be eternal. Your isolation is temporary, but your influence will echo through generations. Look me in the eye, right now. The crushing you've endured wasn't meant to destroy you. It was meant to prepare you for wealth that would have destroyed the old you, for influence that would have corrupted the unprepared you, for a platform that would have overwhelmed the untested you. But here's the brutal truth that few will tell you. Not everyone who suffers breaks through. Not everyone who is crushed becomes a diamond. The difference between those who remain broken and those who break through is simple: alignment and obedience. When Joseph interpreted dreams in prison, he didn't know it would lead to the palace. He just obeyed. When Tyler Perry kept writing plays for empty theaters, he didn't know a billionaire's destiny awaited him. He just remained aligned with the vision God placed in his heart. Proverbs 3:5-6 commands us, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight." Tonight, heaven is calling your name. The same God who transformed Joseph from prisoner to prime minister is positioning you for unprecedented prosperity. The same God who lifted Tyler Perry from homelessness to Hollywood mogul has been preparing you through every tear you've shed in secret. The suffering wasn't random. The delay wasn't denial. The crushing wasn't cruelty. It was preparation for billions to flow through hands that would not be corrupted by them, through a heart that would use them for kingdom purpose, through a spirit that would remain humble, even in abundance. Right now, in this sacred moment, I want you to make a declaration. Type in the comments below, "I receive my inheritance. I align. I obey." This isn't just words on a screen. This is your covenant. This is your turning point. This is your Red Sea moment, where what was meant to drown you becomes the very path to your promised land. The billions aren't coming tomorrow. They're being released tonight. The question is, are you aligned to receive them? Feel that shift in the atmosphere. Right now, do you sense it? The heavens are rumbling, the spiritual barometers are dropping, and divine pressure is building. This is not just another moment in your journey. This is the moment of supernatural breakthrough. For too long, you've stood at the edge of your promised land. For too long, you've heard "not yet" when your spirit was crying, "Now, Lord." For too long, you've watched others receive their inheritance while you waited patiently in the shadows. But tonight, that waiting season is over. Isaiah 43:19 declares, "Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it?" God is asking you directly, do you not perceive it? The billions promised to you are no longer coming. They are here. Type 777 in the comments right now. Let heaven record your agreement. This is not religious ritual. This is prophetic activation. When you declare 777, you're saying, "I align my spirit with heaven's decree." Listen to me carefully, precious saint of God. You are standing in the center of a supernatural tornado right now, and it's not destruction, it's deliverance. It's not chaos, it's creation. Everything around you is being rearranged by divine hands to position you for overflow. Some of you watching have been battling unusual resistance these past few weeks. Strange attacks on your mind, your finances, your relationships. Sleep has eluded you. Peace has seemed distant. Why? Because the enemy can see what's coming, even when you can't. Job 22:28 promises, "You will decree a thing, and it shall be established unto you." The enemy knows that your words carry creative power, and he's terrified of what happens when you finally believe it. Write this down right now. Number, more, delay. Say it out loud, 3 times with authority. Number, more, delay. Number, more, delay. Number, more, delay. Did you feel that? That wasn't just words leaving your lips. That was a prophetic declaration, shattering spiritual blockades that have held back your blessing for generations. In Exodus 14:13, Moses told the Israelites, "Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today." They were trapped, the Red Sea before them, Pharaoh's army behind them. No escape, no hope, no options. But God doesn't need options when He has authority. Some of you are exactly there right now. Medical bills piling up, retirement funds depleted, adult children still struggling, your golden years looking more like brass. You've been faithful, you've tithed, you've served, you've believed, and yet the sea hasn't parted, the miracle hasn't manifested. Until tonight. For the Lord says, your faithfulness has been recorded, your tears have been collected, your midnight prayers have been documented, and tonight, heaven's accounts are being settled in your favor. Do you understand what's happening right now? You're not just watching a video, you are participating in a divine transaction. Angels are being dispatched, resources are being redirected, people are being divinely instructed to find you, to bless you, to release what has always been yours. Type 777 again. Declare it louder this time. Psalm 37:4 promises, "Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart." But this isn't just about desires. This is about destiny. The billions coming are not just financial. They represent every promise God has whispered to your heart when no one else was listening. Think back to that dream He gave you, the one you've almost given up on. Remember that vision that seemed too big, too impossible? That wasn't your imagination. That was divine revelation, and tonight is its manifestation. The enemy tried to convince you that you were too old, that it was too late, that you had missed your window. But Joel 2:25 declares, "I will restore to you the years that the swarming locust has eaten." God doesn't see your gray hair as a limitation. He sees it as a crown of wisdom ready to carry breakthrough. Tonight is not just your shift, it is your spiritual settlement. What heaven promised, earth is about to deliver. Right now, I want you to close your eyes and place your hand on your heart. Feel that beating. That's not just a physical pulse. That's the rhythm of divine potential. Every beat says, now, now, now. Some of you feel unworthy of this magnitude of blessing. Some of you are thinking, why me? Why would God choose me for billions? Listen carefully. The Lord isn't blessing you because you're perfect. He's blessing you because you're positioned by promise, positioned by covenant, positioned by grace. Ephesians 3:20 reminds us that God is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to His power that is at work within us. The billions coming aren't limited by your imagination, they're fueled by His proclamation. In the courts of heaven, a gavel has fallen in your favor. The case is closed, the inheritance is released, the transfer has begun. Write it down one more time. Number more, delay. Can you feel the atmosphere changing around you? That's not emotion, that's revelation. That's not wishful thinking. That's kingdom reality. The wait is over. The season has shifted. The billions are here. And everything, absolutely everything, is about to change. Why has God chosen you for this unprecedented season of abundance? Why you, out of all the billions of souls on this planet? That question has haunted you, hasn't it? When the bills kept piling up, when the doctor gave that devastating report, when people walked away from you, when doors slammed in your face, you wondered, God, why me? Why all this pain? But tonight, I'm here to tell you the mystery that changes everything. Your suffering wasn't random, it was royal preparation. Isaiah 48:10 declares, "See, I have refined you, though not as silver. I have tested you in the furnace of affliction." You weren't being punished, you were being purified for purpose. Look at your hands right now. Those aren't ordinary hands. Those are hands that held on when everyone else let go. Those are hands that kept giving when your own cup was empty. Those are hands that God is about to fill with supernatural abundance. You saw things others couldn't see. Remember those moments when you walked into a room and immediately sensed something was wrong? While everyone was laughing, you felt the heaviness. That wasn't anxiety, that was spiritual discernment. That was God developing divine sight in you. 1 Corinthians 2:14 confirms it. The person without the Spirit does not accept the things that come from the Spirit of God, but considers them foolishness. You felt pain. Others couldn't understand. How many nights did you cry alone? How many prayers seemed to hit the ceiling? How many times did people tell you to just get over it when they had no idea how deep your wounds went? That wasn't weakness. That was God expanding your capacity for compassion. He was widening your soul so you could hold more of His glory. Your sensitivity wasn't your downfall, it was your superpower. In Manhattan, they don't build skyscrapers on shallow foundations. The taller the building, the deeper they dig. Your trials weren't random, they were excavation. God was digging deep to build you tall. The enemy didn't attack you because you were weak. He attacked you because he saw what was coming. Let that sink in. Satan doesn't waste ammunition on non-threats. He saw your destiny before you did. He saw the billions that God was preparing for your hands. He saw the lives you would transform, the generations you would elevate, the legacy you would establish. Job 8:7 promises, "Your beginnings will seem humble, so prosperous will your future be." Your humble beginnings weren't the end of your story. They were setting the stage for supernatural contrast, from welfare to wealth, from food stamps to financial freedom, from barely surviving to abundantly thriving. Think about Joseph. His brothers sold him into slavery. He was falsely accused, thrown into prison, forgotten. But God was positioning him for palace authority. Everything that looked like rejection was actually divine direction. Genesis 50:20 reveals the mystery. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. Your setbacks weren't setbacks at all. They were setups for your comebacks. Do you think it's an accident that you've survived everything the enemy threw at you? Do you think it's coincidence that despite the attacks, the betrayals, the disappointments, you're still here, watching this very message? This is divine preservation. God kept you because He's chosen you to carry wealth with wisdom, to steward abundance with accountability, to manage millions with maturity, to handle billions with balance. Proverbs 13:22 declares, "A good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children." You're not just receiving breakthrough for yourself, you're becoming a generational blessing, a pipeline of prosperity that will outlive you. That's why you went through what you went through. That's why you endured what others couldn't endure. That's why you kept standing when everyone else fell. You weren't designed for survival. You were destined for significance. Your story isn't ending in lack. It's just beginning in legacy. The enemy fought you, tooth and nail, not because of who you are, but because of who you're becoming. He saw the power player inside the prayer warrior. He saw the billionaire inside the believer. He saw the giant slayer inside the tearful worshipper. And now, your moment has arrived. No more barely getting by, no more robbing Peter to pay Paul, no more deciding which bill to pay this month. God is saying, enough. My chosen one has suffered long enough. Release the floodgates of heaven. Pour out the billions I've reserved for their name. Can you feel it, that warmth in your chest right now? That's not emotion, that's recognition. Your spirit knows. This word is for you. If you know, beyond any shadow of doubt, that God is speaking directly to your situation right now, I need you to do something powerful. Type in the comments, "It's me, I receive it." Let heaven record your response. Let the angels witness your faith. Let God see that you finally understand why He chose you for such a time as this. Because what's coming next will leave you breathless with wonder at His perfect plan for your life. Now, beloved, let me speak a truth that few prosperity teachers will ever tell you. The billions God is sending aren't coming to make your life easier. They're coming to make your life matter. When Moses approached the burning bush, God didn't call him to comfort. He called him to confrontation. When David faced Goliath, God didn't hand him a shield. He handed him 5 smooth stones and a mission bigger than himself. I must ask you tonight, with all the tenderness of a father and all the urgency of a prophet, are you truly ready for the weight of glory that's about to rest upon your shoulders? Let me be clear. These billions aren't vacation money. They aren't retirement funds. They are kingdom artillery. In a spiritual war where souls hang in the balance, what God is entrusting to you isn't just wealth. It's responsibility that would crush most people. Proverbs 27:7 tells us, "One who is full loathes honey from the comb, but to the hungry even what is bitter tastes sweet." Many pray for abundance, but have you considered what abundance requires of you? Think of Solomon, who received wealth beyond measure. Did his riches bring him ease? No, they brought him burden. They brought him testing. Eventually, they even brought him temptation that led to his downfall. Can your character carry what your calling is commanding? I've counseled millionaires who weep alone at night, crushed under the weight of decisions that affect thousands of lives. I've prayed with wealthy believers whose marriages crumbled because they weren't prepared for the isolation that comes with elevation. This isn't meant to frighten you, but to fortify you. When billions flow through your hands, you will become a target. The enemy doesn't waste ammunition on those who pose no threat. He reserves his fiercest attacks for those carrying the greatest anointing. Luke 12:48 warns us, "From everyone who has been given much, much will be demanded, and from the one who has been entrusted with much, much more will be asked." Are you prepared to be asked for more than you've ever given? Your phone will ring at 2 a.m. with emergencies only you can solve. Your mind will be occupied with visions that keep you awake while others sleep. Your heart will break for injustices you once scrolled past. This is the cost of carrying glory. You're not just receiving a check. You're becoming a vault for divine gold. And that vault must be strong enough to hold immense weight without breaking. Right now, in ways you cannot see, heaven is reinforcing your foundation. Those delays you've cursed, they're divine training sessions. Those relationships that painfully ended, they were removing what couldn't withstand the pressure of your promotion. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before leading an exodus. Joseph endured 13 years of slavery and prison before ruling Egypt. Jesus himself spent 30 years in obscurity before 3 years of ministry that changed eternity. Why do you think your path has been so difficult? Because ordinary comfort produces ordinary people. And you, beloved, were never called to be ordinary. The billions coming aren't just currency, they're influence that will shift bloodlines for generations. When God entrusts you with this level of impact, every decision you make carries eternal consequence. Some watching tonight are frustrated with their current assignment. Why am I still working this job? Why am I still struggling with these small battles? Listen carefully. You're being tested with Bethlehem before you're trusted with Jerusalem. How you steward the small determines if you can handle the significant. I remember counseling a man who came into sudden wealth. "Pastor," he said, "I prayed for this money for years. Now that I have it, I wish I'd spent more time asking God to prepare my character to carry it." Don't make his mistake. The weight of glory requires a vessel of integrity. Isaiah 60:1-3 declares, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. Nations will come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your dawn." Notice it doesn't say, "Relax in your blessing." It says, "Arise." It's a command to stand under pressure, to shine when it would be easier to hide. So tonight, I'm asking you with holy reverence, are you prepared for influence that will cause presidents to seek your counsel? Are you ready for wealth that could end hunger in entire regions? Can your knees support the weight of interceding for millions who will depend on your decisions? If your spirit trembles at these questions, that's wisdom. If your heart feels inadequate, that's understanding. Moses said, "Who am I?" Isaiah said, "I am unclean." Even Jesus sweat blood before carrying the cross. But if something in your spirit is rising to meet this challenge, if despite your fear you feel a holy resolve strengthening your backbone, then type in the comments right now, "I am built for this." Not because you're sufficient in yourself, but because I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Philippians 4:13. The billions aren't coming because you're worthy. They're coming because you're chosen. And what God chooses, He equips. What He calls, He qualifies. What He commands, He empowers. The question isn't if the wealth is coming. The question is, when it arrives, will you be ready to carry its weight? Listen carefully, because what I'm about to share with you will completely transform how you understand wealth in God's kingdom. For decades, you've been fed a dangerous lie, a lie that has kept you spinning on a hamster wheel of exhaustion, chasing what God already intended to give you freely. The world screams, "Hustle harder," but heaven whispers something entirely different. I've watched thousands of God's children chase wealth with white knuckles and desperation, only to find themselves more broke, more exhausted, and further from their destiny than when they started. Why? Because they've been running on man's treadmill, instead of walking on God's path. Proverbs 10:22 says it plainly, "The blessing of the Lord brings wealth, without painful toil for it." Did you catch that? Without painful toil. Let that sink into your spirit for a moment. What if everything you've been taught about prosperity was backwards? What if striving and struggling and sacrificing your health was never God's design for abundance? Look at your hands right now. Really, look at them. Are they calloused from climbing ladders that lead nowhere? Are they trembling from holding on too tight to dreams that leave you empty? When was the last time you slept through the night without anxiety about money robbing your peace? Dear child of God, heaven doesn't follow hustle. It honors alignment. Think about the Jordan River. It doesn't struggle to flow downstream. It simply aligns with gravity, and the abundance of water flows effortlessly. That's how billions enter your life, not through straining, but through divine alignment. In Matthew 6:33, Jesus gives us the master key. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Notice the order. First kingdom alignment, then provision follows, not the reverse. I'm reminded of David Rockefeller, who once shared something profound before his passing. This billionaire said, "Success in business requires training and discipline and hard work. But if you're not frightened by these things, the opportunities are just as great today as they ever were." What Rockefeller understood was discipline, not desperation, alignment, not anxiety. But let me get even more practical, because I know exactly where you are tonight. Some of you are sitting at kitchen tables, staring at bills you can't pay. Some of you have prescription medications you've been splitting in half because Medicare doesn't cover enough. Some of you lie awake at 3 a.m. wondering if your retirement will last, or if you'll become a burden to your children. I see you. God sees you. And tonight, everything changes. The reason the billions haven't reached you yet isn't because God is withholding. It's because you've been chasing instead of aligning. You've been pushing doors that were designed to be pulled. You've been speaking scarcity when your mouth was created to declare abundance. Isaiah 1:19 delivers this promise with crystal clarity. If you are willing and obedient, you will eat the good things of the land. Willingness and obedience, not hustle, not struggle, not manipulation. When you walk in obedience, abundance chases you like a river obeying gravity. It becomes the natural order, the supernatural flow. Remember Abraham? God didn't tell him to hustle harder for his breakthrough. He simply said, "Leave your country and go to the land I will show you." One act of obedience unleashed generational wealth that we're still talking about thousands of years later. But here's the part that might shock you. Your financial struggle isn't a money problem, it's an alignment problem. The billions God has for you are currently held up at a spiritual checkpoint, waiting for you to step into divine order, waiting for you to stop chasing and start aligning. I had a dear sister in Christ, Martha, who came to me broken at 73 years old. Her social security check couldn't cover her medicine and her rent. She'd tried everything, part-time jobs, cutting coupons, even selling her wedding ring. Nothing changed. Then we discovered she was harboring unforgiveness toward her ex-husband, who had abandoned her decades earlier. For 3 hours, we prayed through that bitterness. The next morning, she received a call. Her ex-husband had died, and unbeknownst to her, had left her as the beneficiary on a life insurance policy worth $1.7 million. The money wasn't blocked by economics, it was blocked by alignment. What's blocking your billions? What area of obedience is God highlighting in your spirit right now? I want you to place your hand on your heart and declare with me, "I don't chase money, I align with my mandate." Say it again, with authority this time. I don't chase money, I align with my mandate. Feel that shift in your spirit? That's not emotion, that's revelation taking root. When you align with heaven's blueprint, provision becomes as natural as breathing. Opportunity finds you without striving. Doors open before you even knock. Malachi 3:10 promises, "Bring the whole tithe into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house. Test me in this, says the Lord Almighty, and see if I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that there will not be room enough to store it." That's not a suggestion, that's a covenant. Tonight, I feel the Lord saying to someone specifically, your season of struggle ends now. Your alignment is activating abundance. But there's one more crucial step in this divine sequence that will cement everything you've just received. And if you miss it, the billions might pass right through your fingers like water. Let me ask you something deeply personal, something that might shake you to your core. Why do you think those panic attacks hit you at 3 a.m.? Why did that depression follow you like a shadow for decades? Why did that business fail right when it was about to succeed? It wasn't bad luck. The warfare against you has never been random. It has been strategic, calculated, and precisely timed. Matthew 16:18 tells us, "The gates of hell shall not prevail." But notice this truth. Gates don't attack, gates defend. The enemy is on the defensive because you are on the offensive, whether you realized it or not. Hell knows what heaven has deposited in you. Let that sink in. The adversary saw your calling long before you recognized it yourself. When you were still doubting your worth, demons were already trembling at your potential. That's why the attack came when you were most vulnerable. That's why the betrayal cut so deep. That's why the doors slammed shut. Just as you approached them, think about David, anointed as a boy, but hunted like an animal for years. Psalm 105:15 declares, "Do not touch my anointed ones, do my prophets no harm." God wouldn't have issued this warning if there wasn't a very real threat against those who carry his purposes. Your pain has been proof of your purpose all along. Those nights you cried yourself to sleep, wondering, "Why me, God?" Heaven was watching the enemy's desperate attempts to stop what's coming through you. Your billions, your abundance, your breakthrough, it terrifies the kingdom of darkness. I've counseled thousands of seniors over 5 decades, and I've noticed something remarkable. The most anointed among you, the ones carrying the greatest destinies, often endured the most vicious spiritual battles. Your retirement years aren't meant to be quiet. They're meant to be your most powerful. Let me be brutally honest with you tonight. The enemy doesn't waste ammunition on those who pose no threat. If you've been under heavy fire, it's because you carry heavy artillery. Remember Job? Satan had to get special permission to attack him. Why? Because Job's righteousness was a weapon of mass destruction against the kingdom of darkness. Your integrity, your faith, your unwavering commitment to God, these aren't just nice Christian virtues. They are spiritual nuclear warheads that have hell on high alert. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Ephesians 6:12. The resistance you faced isn't punishment, it's proof of your royalty. In ancient kingdoms, the heir to the throne faced the greatest number of assassination attempts. The more significant your calling, the more sophisticated the warfare. Your struggle hasn't been the absence of God's favor, it's been evidence of your threat level to the enemy's kingdom. That health crisis that blindsided you, that relationship that shattered without warning, that financial collapse that made no logical sense, these were calculated strikes against the destiny God placed inside you. I need you to understand this with crystal clarity. Your age isn't a liability, it's a lethal weapon. You have survived what would have destroyed others, you have endured what would have crushed the weak. And now, standing on the other side of those battles, you are more dangerous to the enemy than you have ever been. Moses was 80 when he confronted Pharaoh. Abraham was 100 when Isaac was born. Anna the prophetess was of great age when she recognized the Messiah. Your greatest kingdom impact may just be beginning. But hear me clearly, as the billions approach, as your elevation draws near, the warfare will intensify. The enemy always fights hardest when breakthrough is imminent. The darkest hour comes right before dawn. That's why you need to position yourself correctly. Right now, you need to recognize that the attack against you is actually confirmation of what you carry. Look at Jesus in the wilderness. The temptation came immediately after his heavenly endorsement. "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased," was followed directly by, "If you are the Son of God, The enemy always attacks your identity first, because he knows that's where your power lies. Your billions are coming, not because you've earned them, but because God has ordained them. And all of hell cannot stop what heaven has decreed. So tonight, I need you to make a declaration, not a whisper, not a whimper, but a warrior's decree. Type these words in the comments. I am not afraid. I was born for battle. When you declare this, you're not just typing words on a screen. You're sending shockwaves through the spiritual realm. You're putting the enemy on notice that you finally understand the significance of what you carry. The warfare you've endured wasn't meant to destroy you. It was permitted to develop you. And now, standing in the strength of that development, you are ready for what comes next. The resistance you faced has never been about your past. It's always been about your future. And that future begins tonight. Are you ready to step into the authority that makes hell tremble? My dear friends, as we come to the close of our time together, I want you to remember what God has revealed to you tonight. You are not random. You are chosen. Your struggles have not been punishment. They have been preparation. The billions coming your way aren't just financial. They represent the abundance of God's favor, purpose, and provision, flooding every area of your life. If this message has blessed you, would you consider sharing it with someone who needs encouragement? Sometimes the greatest act of faith is reaching out a hand to someone else who's struggling. I want to thank you sincerely for staying with me through this entire message. Your presence, your attention, your faith, they matter more than you know. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. We're building a community of believers who refuse to settle for less than God's best, and we'd be honored to have you join us. Remember, the billions aren't just coming, they're already released in the spiritual realm. Your job isn't to make it happen. Your job is to position yourself to receive what God has already decreed is yours. May the peace that passes all understanding guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. Until next time, walk in the authority of who God says you are,